So my name is Alpesh Patel. I'm the founder of Mi-Fone, the first African devices brand. I founded Oju, the first black emoticons in the world. And now I run a consultancy and a speaking service called Pesh Mode.
That marked Mi-Fone out as a special company.
Because we were the first African device brand. And this was set up, I set up Mi-Fone in 2008. So I was director of Motorola previous to that. And when I left Motorola, it was very clear case that the big brands do some really great things, but they also missed out on a lot of great things. And that's why we set up Mi-Fone as a African device brand owned by Africans, Pan-African shareholder base, but for Africans in terms of the offering. So we went into such details of segmenting the mass market segment and dissecting rather.
Yeah.
So, we would have a phone for a 16-year-old schoolgirl. We would have a phone for that average 25-year-old cab driver.
Yeah.
So we'd work with the customization of the covers and everything. And I think what established us from day one was the fact that it just had not been done before. So I'm very sure that we were probably, if not the first African tech hardware startup, when the word startup was not even mentioned back in those days.
Absolutely. Yeah. And for a number of years, you had a lot of success, didn't you?
Yes.
You had a good 3 first years, really.
Yeah.
What happened after that?
We had a really double-digit, revenues. Our first year we did $1.2 million, completely self-funded. I used my life savings. And we then went on. Every year we were just doubling our revenues, increasing our market penetrations by opening new geographic territories. I think what happened to us is I think we overexpanded. I think we were in 17 markets at one time. That's a lot of markets in Africa.
But you need to explain also too. You were in 17 markets, but you were like 3 people and a dog.
Correct. Yeah, correct. We
hardly any staff.
Yeah, so we were like working literally 20 hours a day, really utilizing our offices in Hong Kong, and then working on Skype a lot, traveling like crazy, because I always believe that if you're not next to your customer, some Chinese guy is.
Yeah.
So really, really on the road and really building this brand. And what people loved about the brand was the cheekiness, the rebellious thing that we brought to the table, saying that we are the David versus Goliaths.
And it also had a cultural flavour, didn't it?
Well, yeah, it's a black.
You come out of music.
Yeah, so so Mi-Fone was the hip hop brand of the telecoms industry.
Yeah.
And we did a lot because we never had money for billboards and TV campaigns. So all our brand awareness was basically events and social media. So people, you come to a Mi-Fone party, you're going to love it. You'll remember the brand.
Yes.
So that's really how we started building the momentum. And I think it got to a stage where we took a couple of big hits when it came to receivables. And it drastically slowed down our growth because we were now chasing money and we couldn't put that money back into new stock production. So one of the mistakes was that we got excited and we started giving credit quite openly. The other thing that affected us after 2011 was the fact that a lot of the operators that we were selling to traditionally changed their business model to consignment.
Yeah.
So now they wanted you to provide the phones. As they sell, they pay. This is too risky.
Yes.
It was too risky to do that, especially when they have their brand on the phone as well.
So what was the end of the story?
Well, the end of the story was that, after 7 years, we knocked on about 100 doors, private equity, VC, angel, family offices. Everyone said no. Even after showing interest, we had the phone business, we had the card business, we had Oju, the black emoticon character brand. And finally, I managed to sell 51% of the business. So I didn't raise money, I sold the company.
Yeah.
So it's validation.
Yeah.
That an entrepreneur can go from nothing to an exit.
And does it still exist?
The company?
Yes.
Yes, it exists. What happened was that we sold to a very big, large South African group who didn't really understand the space, but they found mobile sexy.
Yeah.
But the challenges we had thereafter, I'm not going to talk about it too much in detail because it is what it is. But the challenge we had was that a big corporate was buying a small entrepreneurial company. So immediately there was a mindset challenge. Where things were taking me 5 minutes to prove, now it takes me 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And the fact that we were a black brand, and you're talking about a white corporate South African company, wanted to change the very thing that they bought.
Yeah.
The very thing that excited them on my first pitch, they wanted to change.
Yeah.
So it stifled me. It stifled me. And right now, we are in a situation where I don't know if I have the passion left anymore to continue doing mobile phones in Africa, purely simply because all the challenges that one has been through. Even though we've done an exit and we've made some money, the fact is that it's just not a very, very happy story for us in particular.
But it's a great story to read. You've just published a
Yeah.
book, haven't you, which is effectively your life and your adventure.
Yeah, so I published a book called Tested, and the reason I published it and self-published, well, the title is very evidently clear. I have been really, really tested.
Yeah.
I've been tested in the art of entrepreneurship, but more so I've been tested in what it is to be an entrepreneur in Africa, you know, especially when you don't have the funding.
Yeah.
So it really is a case of probably 99% of the other entrepreneurs out there.
Yeah.
And hopefully they can learn from some of the numerous mistakes that I have made. So this book is not a business book and to tell you how to do this and how to do that. This book is actually how not to do things, right? It really is a book of business lessons. You've noticed at the end of each chapter there's a lesson learned, and really how you can translate that into your own life, whether it's be personal or business. So I'm really proud that I've done this because it takes a lot to walk out into the public naked, and that's what I've just done.
And it's a very honest account.
Because I believe that, you know, you have to tell the truth. Somebody has to tell the truth about what's going on in Africa.
Yeah.
There's very, very few stories coming out of Africa.
Yeah.
I didn't want an outsider to write my story. That's why I didn't even ghostwrite it. I wrote it myself, and I'm not a writer, you know.
So what's next for you?
I want to help. I want to help people because I never got that help. So I know how frustrating it is for entrepreneurs, especially in Africa or in emerging markets, to really have, you know, I talk about the dark side of entrepreneurship in this book. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there, as glamorous as it may sound, they're in real pain because they don't know what to do. They don't know who to turn to.
Yes.
They don't know how to improve on their business commercial models. I want to help people like that. And I want to help build the African narrative, but in a realistic manner. So trying to bridge the gap between Africa and the world. And, you know, doing my speaking, I want to sell lots of these because I want the message to get across that, you know, Africa also is a hotbed of innovation. And, you know, I don't know if you've read it in the book, but today somewhere in Africa there is a Mark Zuckerberg. There is a Mark Zuckerberg somewhere in Africa today. But if we continue doing what we're doing, talking and not doing enough action, he's going to end up being a Mark Zuckerberg.
Yes.
Because he gets suckered into this thing saying, oh, entrepreneurship is great and it's glamorous. The reality is that entrepreneurs need help.